Hoosier Trapper Outdoors is brought to you by Hoosier Trapper Supply, Leatherwood Creek Trapping Scents, HTS Productions, Hoosier Trapper Deer Scents, and Leatherwood Wildlife Art.
All right, welcome to episode 12, Hoosier Trapper Outdoors Season 3. This is actually our last episode for the season. So this trip, this show will have our first check day on this year's Arkansas trip, and then of course the remaining part of the trip will be on next season's show. So first day set, and we actually got started first thing this morning, so we're going to get some traps in the ground today, and we'll set clear till dark. Rain on and off again today, just light rain, so you know, nothing we couldn't handle. We're not going to complain about it at all as compared to the past couple years. So we got a front coming through, as you can hear the wind blowing. So tomorrow's supposed to be a little bit nicer, sunny or whatever. But anyway, we're setting traps. We're up here on top of the mountain and having a good time. We're going to meet up with our Arkansas guys here very shortly, and they were setting traps this morning, or set a few traps this morning, and we're going to meet up with them, and we'll probably set traps on again, off again with them too. So for the rest of the day. Anything you want to add?
Nope. This year, this is our Bobcat redemption trip. That's what I would like to call it.
Yeah. Definitely a Bobcat redemption trip. So hopefully that materializes for us, and certainly we're off to a good start with the weather. So
let's go set some traps and stay tuned.
Hope you enjoy the show.
Finally made it to Arkansas. Jake and Charlie over there making a flat set on the trail, leading right up to the woods here, or the road. Pretty windy, decently warm though, cloudy. It rained all morning, so hopefully that doesn't slow us down. We can get some more traps out and see what we can catch.
This location here, we've set actually a number of years now that we've been coming down here, and we've caught several doubles on coyotes here. We've never caught a cat here, so I mean, clearly it's a proven location. It wasn't just a fluke accident that we caught stuff here. So we're definitely going to set it again. We've got kind of a grown-up old fire trail here, pine thicket behind Justin on the camera, and just going on out to the road. Obviously, Jake's setting closer to the truck. I'm going to set one right here, and we'll see what happens this year. But clearly based on history, we already know it's a good location. It's real rocky here, and it's difficult to see tracks. A lot of times you can find droppings before you can actually find animal tracks. So here again, we're setting on locations that we think will produce a lot of times without actual having visible sign, and that does make it tough. So when you have your past history that you can recall off of, that's a good way to go. All right, we've met up with our Arkansas buddies, Taryn and Jared, and we're setting traps for the rest of the day. The weather's kind of deteriorated, but it's starting to rain a little bit harder. Camera's in the back of the truck to protect the camera. We're going to stand out in the rain, so it's still not that bad. So we feel guilty for complaining about the weather compared to the past couple of years. So we'll just deal with it. And hopefully tomorrow will be sunny, like they say. So. But anyways, it's not bad enough to keep us from trapping, so we're going to set traps and till dark, and which is not that much further away, and see what happens for tomorrow. So, anybody have anything they want to add?
It's cold.
Very cold.
It's not that cold. It's all relative. These guys are from down here. We're from up in Indiana.
It's freezing.
So anyways, let you know what happens tomorrow. one thing about when you take these trips, we get a lot of questions on people want to know what our list is, and to be honest, we've been doing this so long, we kind of got a list in our mind on what we bring. But one thing that I can't emphasize enough is to bring duplicate and triplicate equipment. And this stake driver, I mean, it's several years old, but it finally gave out. So obviously, if we didn't bring backup stake drivers, we'd be kind of fighting it. So like I said, it's important when you got a trap line at home. But when you're out, 700 miles from home, you definitely need usually triplicate equipment. So you never know if you're going to lose something, break something, whatever. So very important. All right, this was first day setting traps. As you can see, we're calling it a little bit early. We're calling it about an hour early just because it's pouring down rain. We ended up getting 44 sets out. I'm not exactly sure what the Arkansas guys got out. Not near that many, but we got quite a few to set or to check tomorrow. And then of course we'll set more traps tomorrow too. But hopefully we don't just get a complete washout tonight with this weather. But anyways, pretty decent day. Got quite a few sets to look at for tomorrow. We'll let you know what happens in the morning. All right, for you water trappers. These have been around for a long time, and obviously they're a construction item, a tie wire reel. For those of you that have used a roll of wire and you got it in the bottom of your pack basket or your bucket or whatever, and then it starts coming uncoiling once you get down a ways. These really are convenient. You actually just open these up. Drop your wire in. Of course, cut your fine wires here to let that get undone, and then just have your wire coming out here, and you of course close it back up, and you're good to go. They're made for a belt, like a little bit wider web belt, like a construction type belt or whatever. Night light or coon hunting light belt works great for these, and just very convenient for water trapping. Keep your wire all in one place, and then it's right there on the side. And you can have your pliers sheath right there by it. So, anyways, just a good handy item. One thing while I'm talking about this, as I said, water trappers, wire has no place on any type of coyote or predator line at all. It's just too brittle. They bounce back and forth or whatever. They're gonna break it. That's a strong animal. Even if you use a heavier wire, it's just got that breaking point when you're bending it back and forth. So if you find that you're in need of something like that, you definitely need to use cable, preferably minimum of 3/32 or 1/8 if you're tying your predator traps off. But definitely wire has no place on any type of predator line. Water line, yes, and you still have to be responsible and keep an eye on the wire. If you catch a coon, I would double the 14 gauge wire. I would, and then when you make a catch, then you definitely want to double check that wire to make sure it's still in good shape. So, anyways, good handy item to have, and like I said, they're called wire tie reels.
Yep. Well, first day checking, we're 20 traps in maybe.
Yeah, 20.
Something like that. We've got our first gray fox here. Kind of interesting catch too, a back leg catch in some sort of a cubby set I made for. We've caught cats here before, actually, in the exact same set. I just remade it, and sure enough, got enough lure down that they like. They'll be moving around in all directions, and they'll hit the wrong spot.
We had a good rain last night, and pretty good rain. Well, it started yesterday afternoon, and went till probably about 9 or 9:30 last night. But this location right here, you can see it's just a pine thicket. It's on an old forest trail, all growing up, and there's still a distinct trail through here. So and when we walked in this morning, it was just full of birds and stuff. So it's perfect location for these predators to come in here and hunt for birds to eat, so, or whatever else. But it over the years, this has just been a continued excellent location. So gray fox, coyotes, and a number of bobcats over the years too here in this particular
2 or
spot.
3 at least.
Yeah. So good, excellent location.
Cool. We'll take care of business and remake.
Yep.
turn. Catch anything? One coat.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
What do you got?
One gray.
One gray.
It'll work.
What's going on, Trent?
Hey, Trent. It's been a year.
He's ready to come this morning.
Cool. Let's go see what we got.
Let's get him.
Good job, Jake.
Cool. Second gray fox of the day. Set originally was up here on a drag. I just threw it off the edge hoping something would be waiting for us in the morning, and there it is. Got a gray fox. Did exactly what we wanted it to. Got off the road.
By the way, we specifically picked this view right here. Awesome view. Check day one, end of the day, sun's going down. Time to skin up a couple critters, 3 critters, and first time we've seen the sun today. Actually, it's going to be kind of a drizzly, not a drizzle day, but kind of a dreary day. So, but we set up a bunch of traps. I think we're pushing 100 traps with what these guys have got set now. So
On day 2.
yep, yeah. So we've been at it. So tomorrow we got a bunch to check and then a bunch more to set, and we got big plans to move into this new area. Hopefully late tomorrow or first thing Tuesday. Well, not first thing, but Tuesday afternoon, whatever. So, anyways, anybody got anything they want to add to all this?
James got to skin a coyote.
Yeah, Terrence got to skin a coyote. He needs practice.
That's it.
Trent is going to supervise. He's going to tell us what to do.
Maybe if I know how to skin one.
Okay.
You'll learn.
Jared, he's just going to sit back and eat.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to eat.
So, all right. Hey, by the way, one thing that people ask us about going on out-of-state trips, and today was the 3rd day of a special deer season out here, and there was more traffic in here than usual. Typically, trappers want to kind of keep a low key, but in general, if you do have a conversation with hunters or whatever, and you tell them that you're working on the coyotes, most of them are more than glad that you are and thankful that you are. So they realize that how the coyotes affect the deer and turkey populations. So generally, if you're in a situation where you feel like you can tell them what you're doing, most of them are glad that you're doing it. So we met these guys a couple years ago, and now we're running around with them. So
Having a blast.
yeah, having a good time. So anyways, you'll run into somebody occasionally that's not very happy that you're there trapping, but in general, most people are, and pretty open to it. So anyways, just thought I'd share that. So anyways, we'll keep you posted end of the day today, and we're gonna get this stuff skinned up and see what happens on check day 2, which will be available in August sometime. All right, for this product highlight, I want to talk about the RK body trap safeties, and you can buy these. We sell them. They're made by Rich Casper out of Nebraska, but they're a safety latch for your body trap springs. And typically, this is what is on the majority of traps that are out there. It's something that bends or breaks off or whatever over time. They work, certainly, and they've been used for years and years, but these do have a much wider area that they obviously grab a hold of, and to me they are better quality, easier to use, and to get onto your trap. Typically anything above the 120 size body trap with the 2-spring 110 essentially is what it is. Anything from that and above needs some sort of safety to hook your springs. So I don't know that I would necessarily replace these if they're working fine, but on the other hand, if they're starting to get bent up or whatever, I don't think I'd order these again. I think I'd order something like this, just because I think it's a much better safety. They're made for 220s, 160s here, and then for the 330s, 280s right here. The Bridger traps
since they kind of improved those. So the bridger traps actually come with that safety already attached to the trap. So when you buy those, you're good to go already with the RKs. But anyways, like I said, we do sell these. So if if you find that you need additional safety hooks, this is what I would go to instead of buying these right here. So I'd give them a try. All right, the beaver that we did on the last show, we're gonna go ahead and take it off the stretcher. It's fully dry, ears are dry, it's well set up, no wet looking spots because it didn't get flushed properly. So we're gonna just basically, I have found that if you use a block of wood like this, instead of going through down here, even on the smaller nails, it still works better to use a block of wood. You're less likely to catch a nail and tear it. So we're just going to go on around the skin. One thing about these beavers, particularly the smaller ones, leave them on the board very long. And you notice when we stretch this, we stretch it low, or I mean, not low, loose. It was there was quite a bit of loose skin here. We still had some issues when, as it dried, it actually pulled this edge away right here. So need to keep an eye on that. Probably didn't need to stay on here as long as it did. So since we were going, it didn't get off of here when it really needed to. But that is definitely an issue that you can have. So I'm going to try to avoid that. Okay. Flip it over. It really looks pretty good because the smaller beaver doesn't have very heavy fur on it either, and caught early too. But we're just going to go over it with a comb. We're going to actually come back comb it like this, and that'll kind of pull that up around the edges. Good to go. Ready for market. Well handled beaver skin. All right, for our fur handling segment on this last show of the season, we're going to work on one of the gray foxes that we caught just last week down in Arkansas. The blood that you can see on the skin here is pretty minimal. And I don't have a problem with washing fur or washing skins, but I'm not a huge advocate of it either, particularly when you just consider the time that's involved in doing it and then getting the skin dry. So when it's minimal like this, when that skin is turned fur side out and allowed to dry, that blood, most of the time you can comb it out or brush it out. When it dries, you can get it out. So if I can avoid washing skins, I do, just because it's so time consuming. One thing too, once you wash the skin and it's skin like this, it increases the bacterial growth considerably. So if you're in a fairly warm room or whatever, it increases your chances of slipping. So if you are washing skins and whatever, you definitely got to keep an eye on that too. So just like everything else, want to comb it out, make sure you don't have any burrs, mud clods, whatever, because when you flash it, you're going to run into cutting a hole in that respect. The other thing, we're going to go ahead and open the tail up. As like any animal, the tail needs to be opened up. Any fur animal, you can use the tail zippers, or you can use a knife. One thing about foxes is you want to make sure you got your cut straight. If you don't, particularly on red foxes that are heavy furred, you'll have a spiral look to the tail. So you always want to make sure that you're cutting straight down, and then you're not cut like this. So, but anyways, easier on a gray fox to do that. So these foxes were caught late. As you know, we went right after Christmas, so we caught them last week, and they've got a lot of fat on them, which is a little unusual for gray foxes caught in the earlier part of the season. But and even if you caught a red fox now, you may run into a little bit of fat issues. But these have got a lot of fat on them. So anyways, that's they're going to require fleshing. Okay, because of the grease content here, we want to try to keep this covered so we don't get too much grease or oil on the fur itself. And they don't need quite the attention that maybe a coon would have, but there is a lot of fat on here, and that does need to come off. So we're gonna get the majority of this off of here. This is, if you've watched some of our past episodes, I've talked about fat being underneath the red membrane, and this one is, so that all needs to come off. So we would try to do the best we can to keep that grease off the fur. If it's just right there on the edge, that's fine. I mean, you know, the skin's only got a value of so much, and ultimately we want to, you know, justify our time put into a skin, so and do a good job. But we don't want to. I don't want to spend all my time, you know, putting up fur either. So just keep working this down. I noticed too, these skins are really nice and white, fully primed. Gray foxes are, you know, they start out early in the season just like a coon, or they're blue, or just like anything else. They start out blue, and as they fully prime, they get white. Red foxes, typically, if they get this white, they've actually gone. The skin's fully primed, but the fur is actually starting to go backwards. So, kind of a difference between reds and grays, just in that respect there. This down. We want to check our backup. As you know, it's just like the coon I did in the past. You start on the sides, and they don't typically have the tough area up on the neck like a coon would have. A little time on the tail. These tails are somewhat brittle, so you got to be a little careful when you're scraping them. You can pop them off. If you do pop a tail, it's not an issue in terms of price, but they sure look a lot nicer if you don't. Okay. All right, gray fox, very, very small animal, 6-7 pounds, maybe 8 pounds on a really big one. It is difficult to find a wood stretcher for those. So because of the size of the animal, we still put gray foxes on wire stretchers. The big thing on wire is just make sure there's no rust. It will permanently stain the fur if you use a rusty stretcher. So that's very important. Put the skin on. I'm not concerned. This red membrane on the head is just fine. Not an issue. Just leave it. Okay, you got one hook, and the hooks go down like this, and that goes in the tail like that. Same on the belly side. One thing here too, we don't cut a window. We're not cutting the window because we're going to turn the first side out. Straighten this up a little bit. You also want to make sure that you've got your your head and everything lined up straight on the stretcher. And this bottom lip can come off too. Actually, we're going to have this one tan, so I'm going to leave it on. But typically you would just cut this bottom lip off. That does not need to be on there. So I'm going to tuck it inside. Now we're going to let this thing dry. We're going to turn it yet today. It's just a little before lunch. We're going to, about 6 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and turn it first side out. I'm going to rub some borax on it. And then we'll put it back on the stretcher and let it dry the rest of the way. All right, we've got 20 mil team borax you buy it in the laundry detergent section at the grocery store, powder form. We'll go ahead and rub some on here. Typically put some up around the ears and just generally rub some on the skin. That'll help this dry too. Definitely a preservative. Maybe a little bit down the tail too. I want to re-emphasize what I talk about with washing these skins and what the skin's worth in terms of how much time you put into it. If we were talking about a bobcat that was worth $100 or more, there's cats in the West that sell for $800,000, $1,200. Clearly, you want to baby that thing to the max. It's they need all the attention that you can give them to get ultimately the most that you can, and that skin deserves, because of the value of the skin, it deserves special attention and special time. When we're talking about a skin that's worth, at 2015, this January 6, 2015, we're talking about a skin that's probably worth $20 to $25 here. That's, to me, that's where you gauge your time that you put into a skin. As long as you scrape it properly, stretch it properly, we're going to turn the first side out, dry it properly, skin it properly to begin with, then you've done what you need to do to get what you need out of that skin. But like I said, it's all relative to what the thing's worth, as how far you want to go and how much extra time you spend with it. And I'm talking you need to do a good job, period. But in terms of washing this thing and spending all that extra time, I just don't think it's worth it unless it's just matted with mud. So important to me, to bear in mind effort put forth versus return. So anyways, that's I just wanted to kind of re-talk about that. So, but we're gonna let this dry 6-7 hours. We're gonna go ahead and turn it and put it back on the stretcher and let it dry the rest of the way. And we'll show the turning and stretching here in a little bit. All right, here's the gray that we put on the stretcher this morning. It's been on about 7 hours. You could certainly let it get a little more dry, but it's definitely starting to set up. Gray fox are tough-skinned, heavy-skinned animal as compared to, say, a red fox. They always kind of remind me of a squirrel. The heavy skin for the size of animal that they are. So anyways, you don't want these things to get away from you and get too dry, because they're really, really difficult to turn. If by chance that does happen to you, I would take towels and use warm water, soak the towels down, wrap the thing up, let them soak in a little bit, and then turn it. If you try to turn this when it's too dry, it will tear. And in addition, if you could get it turned without tearing it, it's still incredibly difficult. So I would rather turn it a little bit wet than let it go too dry. So anyway, we're going to unhook the stretcher hooks. And you can see it's holding its shape. So it has definitely dried and definitely has set up to a point. It is not crazy dry by any means. One thing I want to show you, we tucked this the other way, and evidently when we're in the mix of everything, it kind of fell down. So when you've got skin against skin, see what happens? It's not dry at all. So that's something that you really need to keep an eye on. Front legs, then this lip area, and that is typically why you cut this lip off. Since we're going to have this tanned, we're going to leave this on here. But that is something that definitely needs some borax attention right there. So if that were allowed to go, you know, for another day or two, that would actually spoil underneath there because that you've got that skin against skin. So anyways, we're going to turn this thing. I typically start at the head, turn like that. Everybody's kind of got their own way of doing this, but I think it's easier to go to the head. The front legs can actually stay on the interior of the skin. They don't have to be on the. They don't have to be pulled through. And you can hear it. It's definitely drying out. Pop the ears out. Some of the, you know, they talk about, some of the fur handling guys who talk about removing the cartilage from here. You can actually just cut these ears off if you want. I just like the looks of having the complete ear on there. If you are in the warm part of the early season when the humidity's high and the you know, it's still warm outside, you really got to be careful with these ears because they will spoil. So that's something that you definitely need to keep an eye on. But at this point, we're going to put it back in on the same stretcher. I'll leave the front legs. These we can go ahead and fold these. Turn around. Now, if you're shipping your fur to a fur auction, North American fur auctions or whatever, you can. They will drum this stuff anyways, so it's going to go in the tumbler and clean itself up. Another thing that you can do if you're not doing that is you can actually take borax and put it into the fur like this, rub that in, and that helps clean that fur, helps dry it up. That's another option if you got some greasy spots or whatever. So that definitely helps, and then you can comb it out and shake it out later. One thing at this point, I'm going to put a mink board up inside, and it's going in here like this. And that will allow that air to go up inside the skin and then dry further. Allow some airflow in there. One thing about these boards, I'd only leave it in there maybe a couple, 3 days and then take it out. If you leave it in there for an extended period of time, it really pops that skin out, and it's hard to, and then it wants to kind of look puffed up, or you know, it's kind of got that triangular shape to the skin. It's not a big deal. It's not going to affect the value, but if you got them laying flat, it does look nice. And you can pull these ears up like that, and basically at this point you're good to go. If you the tail's still fairly wet, so we're going to put the stretcher hook back in there to hold that in place. And the hook looks upside down, but we're still going in from the top side on the skin. So put that in there like that. Now we're fairly warm in here, so we don't really need to worry about it. But and we'll have fans going when every time our furnace kicks on, the fan's going. So we've got this top lip we need to keep out. But if you got fans going when you're drying fur, definitely helps. And I've talked about in the past, the 50 to 60 degrees, 55, 65 at the most, that's about where you want to be in terms of temperature. And we're just going to, at this point, we're just going to let this hang up and dry the rest of the way. And then we'll do some final combing and clean up on the skin, you know, once it's fully dry. Just like that. One thing too, put the borax on there. Fur out animals, fox, coyote, bobcats, no problem doing that at all. In fact, I think it's an excellent idea, good insurance. But you definitely do not want to put borax on anything that you're going to have sold skin out. Raccoons, muskrats, mink, beaver. You don't want any sold borax or anything like that coming in contact with that skin. So very, very important. All right, hey, it's freezing outside at Hoosier Trapper Supply. It's supposed to get super cold this week, so I guess we're talking 8-10 below zero tonight and tomorrow night. So anyways, this is come on into Hoosier Trapper Supply. We've had a fella, our buddy down in Texas, Larry Jean Paint. He said, hey man, you guys need to put a little tour of your showroom on the show, because he said, hey, he looks at us, but he's always looking in the background and seeing what we have mounted or whatever in our showroom. So anyways, we're going to show you around our showroom. When you walk in, we've got life-size white-tailed deer display here. And then we have our front wall above our counter, some whitetail mounts, showing different poses that we can do. We also have a fisher mount. Most people don't know what that is. I'm sure most of you as trappers probably do know what that is, but a lot of people that come in here, particularly since they're not native in Indiana, that's something that's a little unusual. And of course the zebra mount, which a lot of you have seen in the background on our some of our product highlights or whatever. One thing I'll tell you is we do these possum mounts, and we actually do several of them, and we'll do maybe a show like a deer classic or whatever. And this possum will be hanging next to giant white-tailed deer and zebras and whatever. And this, a lot of times, this little guy right here gets more attention than anything else that we have on display. So, anyways, they're kind of a cool mount. I don't know if possums actually do that or not. I don't think they do. But anyways, kind of cool. We do a fair amount of birds. We've got this pheasant display here, kind of showing some of the more elaborate displays that we can do. Clearly. Looks very nice, and but like I said, we do a lot of birds, both upland and waterfowl. And I don't know if this is going to show up in this glass case because of the reflection or not, but we've got a wood duck display mount here that we did, and then this mallard mount here with the raccoons going after the mallards, which I'm sure quite frequently happens in the wild. Fish, we do those, both reproductions like the catfish up here and skin mounts, and then this mount right here we call a turkey rug. It's not a mount, it's pieces of turkeys, but they're quite popular, and it shows off the bird fairly well without actually doing a mount. Doesn't take up quite as much room, and not near as expensive. One thing in our shop that gets a lot of attention, we use it as a backdrop for our show a lot of times, is our trapper's cabin. We're a trapper supply, and then we do taxidermy too, so we kind of have the advantage of being able to put this together. We built the cabin here. That's local cedar that's cut here in Indiana. Buddy of ours provided the cedar for us, and we had got the little bear up on the roof. We've got the trapped animals here ready to skin. Those are all mounts, and like I said, we got the trapper's cabin set up here. We've got a mount here somewhat in progress. We're going to actually add another wolf here, but a wolf out of Alaska, and then a wolf out, northern Canada, and then a wolverine out of Alaska, mount that we have had none, and then like I said, we're going to add another wolf here in the future. Another display we have in here are the ringtail cats. These two actually came from New Mexico initially years ago, and did the mount. Sagebrush. Then we've got the rattlesnake in here, kind of appropriate for the terrain that they would be in. Definitely a desert, semi-arid type animal, and something most people don't know what these are. And typically, we don't have them here in the Midwest by any means. Southwestern part of the country's got them. So, anyways, we have this mountain in here as well. And we've got our life-size whitetail here. Another one. It's big body deer, big antlers, just a good looking deer. So yeah, that and I think we've used that as a backdrop before too in our shop. And then something that commonly happens here in Indiana is we've got the turkey massacre going on here with the coyotes. And one thing we've found over the years that we've got a lot more hunters managing their hunting properties and hunting licenses through predator control. So clearly. Something that's become pretty important for a lot of people that are doing hunting, so we put that together. And then this is kind of our retail area for trapping supplies. You can walk in. Well, we put together this barnwood wall up here above our trapping area, and just got some older items, some collector traps, Just some general interest trapper items, paintings, of course. We've got some 1940 fur fishing games up there. And one thing we've got some trap boxes up here. We've got an old Blake and Lamb long spring box, and then we also have right below it, and there's no 100% way to prove this, but that box is an old Victor trap box, and that was when Victor traps were owned by Woodstream Corporation out of Lidditz, Pennsylvania. And the flap of that box has an employee with kind of making a sad face and wrote in marker that that was the last dozen traps that he was going to make at the factory before they sold. So kind of a sentimental box. Probably doesn't have any value. We don't have any particular way to prove that that's the case. But anyways, that box kind of interesting. And then the Blake and Lamb Sure Grip on the side there, that was a body trap box. And that particular box with the graphics on it and the coyote and stuff, kind of cool, and you don't typically see that so much in trap boxes anymore. Nowadays they're pretty much plain Jane, so kind of a cool trap. And that was basically a 110 body trap, but the trigger actually was upside down on that. So one thing was at Wall Drug in Wall, South Dakota, and a lot of you have been there. It's kind of a tourist stop, obviously. Anyways, it's when you go in, it's a big place, and in their store, a lot of their restaurant area and whatever, they've got the brands, the cattle brands from the ranches in the area put into a wood border that went all the way around their restaurant area and some parts of their store. So I thought, well, shoot, that's pretty cool. So I thought we would do that with traps, and I came home and I mounted all these traps. None of these are made anymore. They're all traps that have been discontinued over the years, but they some have good value and some don't. Some were quite commonly made, and they're in big numbers, but none of these traps are made anymore. And so we thought we'd use that as our border around goes around about half of our store. Got some of the bigger stuff back here. We've got our Victor 3N, kind of the original big time coyote trap. That was actually a government issue trap. Got Newhouse board right here, 4.5 wolf trap, and some other Newhouse traps. So that's just kind of a brief overview of our shop. And one thing that we'll do, I think on the show coming out in August, is we'll probably do more of our kind of what's going on around the shop segments during the course of the year. We'll kind of keep that filmed, and some of our more interesting projects or whatever, we'll get those on there too. So hope you enjoyed it, Larry, and we welcome all the comments and suggestions about our show. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show. This final episode, episode 12, final episode for the season. We look forward to next year. We've already been filming, as you saw with our Arkansas footage. The next show will be in August, and we'll run them every other week like we did this past year. We will have a couple more shows. Typically we do 12. Next year we're going to do at least 14, and we'll go later in the year than just January, so hopefully we can go into February with additional shows. If you go to our site and actually register, not request a catalog, but actually register on our site, in other words, you log in and register, you will receive our email newsletters. And those email newsletters, we only send out a couple every other week. We don't sit there and bug you with them. We'll let you know when the shows come up. We'll let you know maybe some just general interest things, and then we'll also if we have some specials or product sales or whatever, they would be on there too. So definitely, if you register on the site, you will receive those email newsletters. Now, those will typically only late summer through late winter is when those will come through. We're not going to bug you with it during the spring and the summer, unless there's just something that just earth-shatteringly needs to get out there. So we're not. It's not a year-round thing on a regular basis. So remember, we've got our catalog.
You can request the catalog on our site, on our website at HoosierTrapperSupply.com. You can actually print one on the site on the homepage. Just click on where it says print your own and print a catalog, or you can give us a call here at the shop at 317-881-3075, and we'll be glad to send you one. So it's got everything that you need for trapping, fur handling, and it also has our line of deer hunting scent in here too. So anyways, we look forward to next year's show, and like I said, we've got big plans concerning that upcoming season, and I hope all of you enjoyed this past season, and we'll see you in August.